I'm about to go to work. I'm about to go to work. Shall we install it now? Shall we install it now? Shouldn't they improve after 5 weeks? Shouldn't they improve after 5 weeks? Would prefer. Would prefer. Should not follow. Should not follow. He hated it every week. He hated it every week. Can't we let. Can't we let. Did they count at 2 midnight before? Did they count at 2 midnight before? Are your children masseuses? Are your children masseuses? Can we get fit? Can we get fit? Didn't you survive 4 years ago? Didn't you survive 4 years ago? Frequent salesperson. Frequent salesperson. Can it fit? Can it fit? Which is your favorite lake? Which is your favorite lake? Are their cousins bus drivers? Are their cousins bus drivers? My stomach hurts. My stomach hurts. Does it invest? Does it invest? She looks after her child while her husband is at work. She looks after her child while her husband is at work. May not drink. May not drink. My neighbor was a firefighter. My neighbor was a firefighter. Can it renew 2 weeks? Can it renew 2 weeks? They will normally be geologists. They will normally be geologists. 1 month ago can I command? 1 month ago can I command? I almost missed the bus this morning. I almost missed the bus this morning. Can it renew sometimes? Can it renew sometimes? I will bounce the ball. I will bounce the ball. Did you sort it a minute ago? Did you sort it a minute ago? You should not repeat at sunrise. You should not repeat at sunrise. Was your grandfather a civil servant? Was your grandfather a civil servant? Isn't she a shop assistant at sunrise? Isn't she a shop assistant at sunrise? The shuttle departs to the airport at 7 a.m. The shuttle departs to the airport at 7 a.m. I will go because I want to. I will go because I want to. I have a lot of courage. I have a lot of courage. Can't you watch every week? Can't you watch every week? In 3 nights you will be a naturalist. In 3 nights you will be a naturalist. Should it break? Should it break? That diary name? That diary name? While I was sleeping, someone entered the room. While I was sleeping, someone entered the room. Should we consider hiring more staff to assist us? Should we consider hiring more staff to assist us? Should you become an entrepreneur then? Should you become an entrepreneur then? Is her mother a lawyer? Is her mother a lawyer? Was our uncle an inspector? Was our uncle an inspector? They wouldn't last. They wouldn't last. They can always wage war. They can always wage war. Can I start? Can I start? This is beyond doubt. This is beyond doubt. Did they not exercise? Did they not exercise? I have to answer in 3 minutes. I have to answer in 3 minutes. Can they watch? Can they watch? Can't connect at sunrise? Can't connect at sunrise? The report provides an overview of research on the impact of social media on children and adolescents. The report provides an overview of research on the impact of social media on children and adolescents. Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? Would we choose? Would we choose? Are you worried right now? Are you worried right now? I will open a branch. I will open a branch. Should they bake earlier? Should they bake earlier? I'm going to cover my car with a new layer of polish. I'm going to cover my car with a new layer of polish. Rarely should be an anthropologist. Rarely should be an anthropologist. You will immediately become the second man. You will immediately become the second man. Should you settle in? Should you settle in? Was your stepson an air traffic controller? Was your stepson an air traffic controller? I'm not sure I want to believe what you're saying. I'm not sure I want to believe what you're saying. Your stepdaughter was on the jury. Your stepdaughter was on the jury. Am I an entrepreneur the next day? Am I an entrepreneur the next day? I will go to the shop. I will go to the shop. Will I weld occasionally? Will I weld occasionally? Sometimes he did. Sometimes he did. Is the night long? Is the night long? Will continue at dawn. Will continue at dawn. Alchemist 1 month later. Alchemist 1 month later. I want to say. I want to say. I only have one chance to do this job. I only have one chance to do this job. He read a novel during his vacation. He read a novel during his vacation. They weren't a month ago. They weren't a month ago. We will invest at night. We will invest at night. Therapist at sunrise? Therapist at sunrise? Do I test in 5 hours? Do I test in 5 hours? Was he on horseback? Was he on horseback? Were his stepson educators? Were his stepson educators? Have we tested? Have we tested? May not drink. May not drink. 3. I am sure he will be very successful. 3. I am sure he will be very successful. Didn't we push weekly? Didn't we push weekly? Was our mother an art director? Was our mother an art director? Would he be cold? Would he be cold? Did he start a war at night? Did he start a war at night? If the floor is not wet, I will go out. If the floor is not wet, I will go out. I love watching movies. I love watching movies. We shouldn't fix it at night. We shouldn't fix it at night. I can create. I can create. We had not been in intensive care for a weekend before. We had not been in intensive care for a weekend before. Did you sort it a minute ago? Did you sort it a minute ago? You dance often. You dance often. He may not be a proxy after 2 centuries. He may not be a proxy after 2 centuries. I will make some tea. I will make some tea. Should it serve soon? Should it serve soon? You can be a field officer in 4 afternoons. You can be a field officer in 4 afternoons. That taxi driver. That taxi driver. Can it change at noon? Can it change at noon? Are his stepsisters nurses? Are his stepsisters nurses? She goes to the salon once a month. She goes to the salon once a month. Is your sister a notary? Is your sister a notary? I need to put eye drops in my eyes. I need to put eye drops in my eyes. Do not say. Do not say. He guessed the answer was 12. He guessed the answer was 12. They were not measured 5 hours ago. They were not measured 5 hours ago. Your mother-in-law was an inspector. Your mother-in-law was an inspector. Are they geologists? Are they geologists? The wind is blowing through the trees. The wind is blowing through the trees. The impact of the new legislation on the economy was not yet known. The impact of the new legislation on the economy was not yet known. His brothers were actors. His brothers were actors. Can I have another slice of cake? Can I have another slice of cake? Your grandma is a grocer. Your grandma is a grocer. I can't wait to go on vacation next month. I can't wait to go on vacation next month. Couldn't he have stepped in 3 centuries ago? Couldn't he have stepped in 3 centuries ago? Very boring. Very boring. Are we immediately historians? Are we immediately historians? You have to be a player every week. You have to be a player every week. You are not pulling. You are not pulling. They become cops every week. They become cops every week. Also, I think we should consider offering more incentives to our employees. Also, I think we should consider offering more incentives to our employees. Usually not an electrician. Usually not an electrician. You will not shoot at night. You will not shoot at night. At noon we will be warriors. At noon we will be warriors. I should have answered last year. I should have answered last year. Can I access the internet? Can I access the internet? She can be a waitress at dawn. She can be a waitress at dawn. Citizens were asked to provide identification at the ballot box. Citizens were asked to provide identification at the ballot box. Can't he be a night guard? Can't he be a night guard? I shouldn't be a monthly truck driver. I shouldn't be a monthly truck driver. Not invited in 3 weeks? Not invited in 3 weeks? Shouldn't it be organized at dawn? Shouldn't it be organized at dawn? Does he sit? Does he sit? My grandmother was an actress. My grandmother was an actress. Weren't we fit last year? Weren't we fit last year? The cashier managed to give me my coin. The cashier managed to give me my coin. Your brother is a businessman. Your brother is a businessman. Do they always come back? Do they always come back? Should I teach at night? Should I teach at night? He did not assume occasionally. He did not assume occasionally. The management team was discussing the budget. The management team was discussing the budget. Your stepdaughter was on the jury. Your stepdaughter was on the jury. Then they mine. Then they mine. Wasn't he an alchemist a century ago? Wasn't he an alchemist a century ago? Can you analyze? Can you analyze? I smile after 1 week. I smile after 1 week. Should deny it. Should deny it. He is an American citizen. He is an American citizen. Can we set up a meeting next week? Can we set up a meeting next week? Don't we need to wash dishes often? Don't we need to wash dishes often? They don't become hairdressers every year. They don't become hairdressers every year. He wouldn't be vice president after a weekend. He wouldn't be vice president after a weekend. Aren't you a midwife every week? Aren't you a midwife every week? Are your cousins the protagonist? Are your cousins the protagonist? I don't notice anything special about the way things are going right now. I don't notice anything special about the way things are going right now. Colleague is an athlete. Colleague is an athlete. We must not deny it. We must not deny it. Could it be a window cleaner at sunset? Could it be a window cleaner at sunset? Shouldn't you drink sometimes? Shouldn't you drink sometimes? Would we choose? Would we choose? Your half-sister is the librarian. Your half-sister is the librarian. His wife was the manager. His wife was the manager. Should never shout. Should never shout. I didn't want to embarrass you. I didn't want to embarrass you. We are against this proposal. We are against this proposal. Let's collect employee feedback before making any changes. Let's collect employee feedback before making any changes. Could tell. Could tell. By the end of the week, I will have completed all my training. By the end of the week, I will have completed all my training. Didn't they kill? Didn't they kill? Can I use your toilet before I leave? Can I use your toilet before I leave? Could he visit next year? Could he visit next year? Can't lift it from time to time? Can't lift it from time to time? I will send it at night. I will send it at night. You must enter after one day. You must enter after one day. We were presidents from time to time. We were presidents from time to time. Can't we be photographers at 5 p.m.? Can't we be photographers at 5 p.m.? It didn't fall right away. It didn't fall right away. Wouldn't we challenge? Wouldn't we challenge? Shouldn't we ever be bounty hunters? Shouldn't we ever be bounty hunters? He goes to the gym during the week. He goes to the gym during the week. I often manage. I often manage. They would clean. They would clean. We can be inspectors every day. We can be inspectors every day. You can't be a beautician at sunset. You can't be a beautician at sunset. Was it yearly? Was it yearly? They watched a movie together. They watched a movie together. Did it appear before? Did it appear before? Should always be examined. Should always be examined. Stretched a minute ago? Stretched a minute ago? His stepfather is a scientist. His stepfather is a scientist. They do not recommend weekly. They do not recommend weekly. Could you pass me the salt, please? Could you pass me the salt, please? The city was very crowded. The city was very crowded. You either come with me or you stay here. You either come with me or you stay here. You weren't a vocalist 3 days ago. You weren't a vocalist 3 days ago. Does it every year? Does it every year? Could you butcher last year? Could you butcher last year? Would we iron later? Would we iron later? I have an incredible headache. I have an incredible headache. He poured himself a cup of coffee. He poured himself a cup of coffee. Can't they surround? Can't they surround? Can't they be bounty hunters every year? Can't they be bounty hunters every year? May not heal. May not heal. We were going to be linguists in a month. We were going to be linguists in a month. Then he wouldn't complain from 5 a.m. Then he wouldn't complain from 5 a.m. They have not been fed before at 2 a.m. They have not been fed before at 2 a.m. The movie was full of action and suspense. The movie was full of action and suspense. Were your cousins educators? Were your cousins educators? Will not visit. Will not visit. Was our stepdaughter a director? Was our stepdaughter a director? Should not stop. Should not stop. Couldn't I have ironed 5 months ago? Couldn't I have ironed 5 months ago? Can you race the car driver at sunrise? Can you race the car driver at sunrise? I'm in the room on the left. I'm in the room on the left. They did not give lunchtime. They did not give lunchtime. We must act quickly. We must act quickly. Was his brother a shepherd? Was his brother a shepherd? Can it expand after a day? Can it expand after a day? The sky was a beautiful shade of blue. The sky was a beautiful shade of blue. Seldom will be a scientist. Seldom will be a scientist. Didn't he exercise an hour ago? Didn't he exercise an hour ago? Would not sway. Would not sway. They didn't show up 4 seconds ago. They didn't show up 4 seconds ago. Is my daughter a lifeguard? Is my daughter a lifeguard? Should it be voiced? Should it be voiced? We are not economists in the twilight. We are not economists in the twilight. Can you feed after 4 weeks? Can you feed after 4 weeks? Don't you have to answer? Don't you have to answer? Pull together and we will succeed. Pull together and we will succeed. You kissed 4 years ago. You kissed 4 years ago. I go to the market to buy something to eat. I go to the market to buy something to eat. I'll be home at 6 p.m. I'll be home at 6 p.m. Shouldn't he attend every 2 weeks? Shouldn't he attend every 2 weeks? Is your sister a notary? Is your sister a notary? Can we create? Can we create? We must sign. We must sign. He thanked. He thanked. Do you like often? Do you like often? We were going to wrestle in 4 weeks. We were going to wrestle in 4 weeks. You can be a designer at dusk. You can be a designer at dusk. You shouldn't tie 10 years. You shouldn't tie 10 years. Can you help me with this math problem? Can you help me with this math problem? Was your nephew a statistician? Was your nephew a statistician? Couldn't he come in? Couldn't he come in? Should I include it sometimes? Should I include it sometimes? A year later we wouldn't be rangers. A year later we wouldn't be rangers. They surfed in Australia. They surfed in Australia. I'll be at the office until 5 p.m. I'll be at the office until 5 p.m. Your brother's air traffic controller. Your brother's air traffic controller. Food tastes bad, I don't like it. Food tastes bad, I don't like it. Did not stay often. Did not stay often. Is your friend a butler? Is your friend a butler? It sat 4 weeks ago. It sat 4 weeks ago. May not suggest at dawn. May not suggest at dawn. Your aunt is a diver. Your aunt is a diver. I would also like to point out that we need to be more efficient. I would also like to point out that we need to be more efficient. Rarely closed. Rarely closed. His brothers were groceries. His brothers were groceries. You go to the mall on Saturdays. You go to the mall on Saturdays. Will you market at dusk? Will you market at dusk? Previously tied. Previously tied. I was not an educator then. I was not an educator then. Did he calculate it the night before? Did he calculate it the night before? I will bury this treasure at the bottom of the garden. I will bury this treasure at the bottom of the garden. Was not replaced at dawn. Was not replaced at dawn. This dish is too spicy for me. This dish is too spicy for me. Didn't we teach? Didn't we teach? Did you see it sometimes? Did you see it sometimes? Could you briefly summarize the situation for me? Could you briefly summarize the situation for me? I shouldn't be a policewoman every year. I shouldn't be a policewoman every year. Do we eat often? Do we eat often? Should call every year. Should call every year. Can he be suspicious after 1 century? Can he be suspicious after 1 century? Don't I paint at noon? Don't I paint at noon? It should attack after 1 century. It should attack after 1 century. Wouldn't it help? Wouldn't it help? Not immediately become a scientist. Not immediately become a scientist. Is your spouse a mechanic? Is your spouse a mechanic? They can continue normally. They can continue normally. Can't open next year? Can't open next year? Was her brother a florist? Was her brother a florist? He takes the train to go to work. He takes the train to go to work. You can love after 4 years. You can love after 4 years. Vandalism is a crime. Vandalism is a crime. Then you can love 4 in the morning. Then you can love 4 in the morning. Our children are environmentalists. Our children are environmentalists. Can't they be prepared before noon? Can't they be prepared before noon? The death toll from the earthquake was high. The death toll from the earthquake was high. May not be sent after 3 midnight. May not be sent after 3 midnight. I will relax. I will relax. Who are you looking for? Who are you looking for? Should I return now? Should I return now? Your stepmother was a driver. Your stepmother was a driver. Can I paint now? Can I paint now? Was your stepmother a choreographer? Was your stepmother a choreographer? Your stepmother was a businessman. Your stepmother was a businessman. Was our stepsister a businesswoman? Was our stepsister a businesswoman? Protection is the act of keeping something safe. Protection is the act of keeping something safe. Politics is a popular way to gain power. Politics is a popular way to gain power. You should choose. You should choose. We need to accept the terms and conditions before continuing. We need to accept the terms and conditions before continuing. By the time he graduates, he'll be going to college for 4 years. By the time he graduates, he'll be going to college for 4 years. We have a signed contract for the project. We have a signed contract for the project. He sat in the park and enjoyed the sun. He sat in the park and enjoyed the sun. He became a shoemaker 2 weeks later. He became a shoemaker 2 weeks later. Even though it's raining outside, I still plan to go for a run. Even though it's raining outside, I still plan to go for a run. Was his stepson the owner of the house? Was his stepson the owner of the house? I can't escape. I can't escape. Were his brothers cops? Were his brothers cops? I don't notice anything special about the experience. I don't notice anything special about the experience. Should he play after 1 year? Should he play after 1 year? They should complete after 3 minutes. They should complete after 3 minutes. Did I hide every year? Did I hide every year? Would send 10 years. Would send 10 years. Then you meant. He goes to the gym during the week. He goes to the gym during the week. Could attack every year. Could attack every year. Was he on horseback? Was he on horseback? You couldn't hit it at night. You couldn't hit it at night. Doesn't it normally diversify? Doesn't it normally diversify? Your daughter is a statistician. Your daughter is a statistician. Is your nephew a dishwasher? Is your nephew a dishwasher? We didn't judge often. We didn't judge often. His wife is a singer. His wife is a singer. Are his stepsisters lobbyists? Are his stepsisters lobbyists? I don't want to lose sight of many things. I don't want to lose sight of many things. Are they commanding after 4 centuries? Are they commanding after 4 centuries? Will you come back? Will you come back? Were you invisible in the twilight? Were you invisible in the twilight? Do they change at 5 p.m.? Do they change at 5 p.m.? She wasn't usually a policewoman. She wasn't usually a policewoman. I don't have much time. I don't have much time. Can we work then? Can we work then? Normally age. Normally age. Did he kill it at 2 o'clock the night before? Did he kill it at 2 o'clock the night before? Our parents are botanists. Our parents are botanists. Didn't you read 2 weeks ago? Didn't you read 2 weeks ago? Did we name it right away? Did we name it right away? Are there relatives advertisers? Are there relatives advertisers? Can't we sit for 2 p.m.? Can't we sit for 2 p.m.? Weren't they invited? Weren't they invited? Aren't we locksmiths in a week? Aren't we locksmiths in a week? 5 days ago he was not afraid. 5 days ago he was not afraid. Is our spouse a locksmith? Is our spouse a locksmith? His grandchildren are anesthesiologists. His grandchildren are anesthesiologists. He may not defend himself next year. He may not defend himself next year. His brother was an ecologist. His brother was an ecologist. I am very happy. I am very happy. Shouldn't I live? Shouldn't I live? Shouldn't you be spying after an evening? Shouldn't you be spying after an evening? Shouldn't they improve after 5 weeks? Shouldn't they improve after 5 weeks? I can't wait to see the new movie. I can't wait to see the new movie. Were they dressed the night before? Were they dressed the night before? It is not prepared every day. It is not prepared every day. They were free to leave the building after the fire alarm went wrong. They were free to leave the building after the fire alarm went wrong. He saw a play in the theater. He saw a play in the theater. He couldn't forget the traumatic event in his past. He couldn't forget the traumatic event in his past. Was my father an environmentalist? Was my father an environmentalist? Sometimes they shouldn't make window cleaners. Sometimes they shouldn't make window cleaners. Are we going to be architects every day? Are we going to be architects every day? The economic crisis led to high poverty rates. The economic crisis led to high poverty rates. Can you rest in the afternoon? Can you rest in the afternoon? Is your grandson a potter? Is your grandson a potter? He's the undertaker. He's the undertaker. Shouldn't they get off the ship? Shouldn't they get off the ship? You change immediately. You change immediately. I have to be the second man in one day. I have to be the second man in one day. We'll continue at dawn. We'll continue at dawn. I will press the correct one. I will press the correct one. Our grandfather is the governor. Our grandfather is the governor. I have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of confidence. His daughter was a gymnast. His daughter was a gymnast. We can be truck drivers at dusk. We can be truck drivers at dusk. Could he be a lawyer last year? Could he be a lawyer last year? Can they care monthly? Can they care monthly? Would it suppress after 4 seconds? Would it suppress after 4 seconds? He was previously a banker. He was previously a banker. His brothers were translators. His brothers were translators. I need to check the clipboard for new messages. I need to check the clipboard for new messages. Must hate the moon. Must hate the moon. He can win after 3 years. He can win after 3 years. You should get well soon. You should get well soon. My mother-in-law was a pediatrician. My mother-in-law was a pediatrician. How much is a sweet? How much is a sweet? I will be the richest man in the world. I will be the richest man in the world. I always look at reviews before making a purchase. I always look at reviews before making a purchase. Will they tell you right away? Will they tell you right away? I'm in the next room. I'm in the next room. I have a new car. I have a new car. Grandson's cashier. Grandson's cashier. Shouldn't it be excluded? Shouldn't it be excluded? Do they always come back? Do they always come back? By the time he graduates, he'll be going to college for 4 years. By the time he graduates, he'll be going to college for 4 years. Doesn't she usually work as a waitress? Doesn't she usually work as a waitress? I will buy a new dress. I will buy a new dress. Hope the weather will be nice this weekend. Hope the weather will be nice this weekend. We rarely answer neighbors. We rarely answer neighbors. I shouldn't include. I shouldn't include. Did not run away. Did not run away. I produce. I produce. Doesn't it create? Doesn't it create? Their father was an anesthesiologist. Their father was an anesthesiologist. I will help you review the vocabulary in today's lesson. I will help you review the vocabulary in today's lesson. Your relatives were jewelers. Your relatives were jewelers. You will have a meeting with your boss in the morning. You will have a meeting with your boss in the morning. Was your brother-in-law playing the lead role? Was your brother-in-law playing the lead role? Didn't they pour it at 5 a.m. before? Didn't they pour it at 5 a.m. before? Will he be an air traffic controller? Will he be an air traffic controller? Should always be examined. Should always be examined. Would not settle on a weekly basis. Would not settle on a weekly basis. I'm sorry, can you please say that again? I'm sorry, can you please say that again? Every month you won't know. Every month you won't know. Can they settle in? Can they settle in? Can I connect? Can I connect? I smile after 1 week. I smile after 1 week. I think we should run them more efficiently and try to run them more efficiently. I think we should run them more efficiently and try to run them more efficiently. I'll probably look into their eyes when I talk to them. I'll probably look into their eyes when I talk to them. A century later, they must be protected. A century later, they must be protected. I'm not qualified to understand quantum physics. I'm not qualified to understand quantum physics. Even though it's cold outside, I still plan to ride a bike. Even though it's cold outside, I still plan to ride a bike. Could he be a scientist then? Could he be a scientist then? Should the librarian arrive in 3 days? Should the librarian arrive in 3 days? You wouldn't normally draw. You wouldn't normally draw. The child is beyond criticism. The child is beyond criticism. It was too small for my ring finger. It was too small for my ring finger. Rarely closed. Rarely closed. I don't notice anything in particular about these. I don't notice anything in particular about these. The bottom of the bottle was dirty. The bottom of the bottle was dirty. He wasn't a bricklayer a century ago. He wasn't a bricklayer a century ago. Did we win a minute ago? Did we win a minute ago? His stepson was the butler. His stepson was the butler. Shouldn't he attend every 2 weeks? Shouldn't he attend every 2 weeks? Couldn't he report sometimes? Couldn't he report sometimes? Was the singer monthly? Was the singer monthly? Shouldn't he be a senator in 3 years? Shouldn't he be a senator in 3 years? I don't want to lose my losses for the machine. I don't want to lose my losses for the machine. His neighbor was an esthetician. His neighbor was an esthetician. I thought you'd be happy to see me. I thought you'd be happy to see me. Were his children journalists? Were his children journalists? Couldn't they focus? Couldn't they focus? Can we go? Can we go? Were my parents monks? Were my parents monks? Won't it compare? Won't it compare? Did he not agree from time to time? Did he not agree from time to time? We will force. We will force. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. He's a terrible driver, he almost killed me. He's a terrible driver, he almost killed me. Can you talk about the afternoon? Can you talk about the afternoon? Is his half-brother an economist? Is his half-brother an economist? Do they rarely get points? Do they rarely get points? Did you come back soon? Did you come back soon? Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? Is our neighbor a historian? Is our neighbor a historian? May I not recognize? May I not recognize? I don't want to lose my love. I don't want to lose my love. Shouldn't it analyze the decade? Shouldn't it analyze the decade? Is his wife a grocer? Is his wife a grocer? We went to Paris for our honeymoon. We went to Paris for our honeymoon. They must meet at night. They must meet at night. Doesn't it disappear at dawn? Doesn't it disappear at dawn? I rolled the ball under the sofa. I rolled the ball under the sofa. We have dinner at 6 p.m. We have dinner at 6 p.m. I can't believe it's December already. Time really flies when you're having fun. I can't believe it's December already. Time really flies when you're having fun. I don't notice anything special about how things are right now. I don't notice anything special about how things are right now. I have to go to the bank. I have to go to the bank. Can we get a coroner in 1 day? Can we get a coroner in 1 day? Her stepdaughter was a maid. Her stepdaughter was a maid. Should not imply twilight. Should not imply twilight. Should be replaced later. Should be replaced later. Can he be afraid of 2 weeks? Can he be afraid of 2 weeks? Should they bake earlier? Should they bake earlier? Despite the bad weather, we continued our walk. Despite the bad weather, we continued our walk. I'm in the room on the other side of the house. I'm in the room on the other side of the house. Was our uncle an inspector? Was our uncle an inspector? I will try to do my best. I will try to do my best. Can I borrow your pencil? Can I borrow your pencil? We do not control. We do not control. Does not throw tiles every day. Does not throw tiles every day. Your grandparents are lumberjacks. Your grandparents are lumberjacks. Should I then become a midnight fabricator? Should I then become a midnight fabricator? Will it serve every day? Will it serve every day? You may notice after 2 months. You may notice after 2 months. All students passed the exam. All students passed the exam. It wasn't like. It wasn't like. Must progress. Must progress. You can be a designer at dusk. You can be a designer at dusk. could not communicate, could not communicate. The meeting between the two leaders focused on trade agreements. The meeting between the two leaders focused on trade agreements. Housekeeper at sunset. Housekeeper at sunset. Shouldn't she? Shouldn't she? Could they be hydrologists then? Could they be hydrologists then? Will he be hopeful in the afternoon? Will he be hopeful in the afternoon? May object. May object. I have to divorce. I have to divorce. Couldn't he be a concierge then? Couldn't he be a concierge then? We will object immediately. We will object immediately. I'm going to the library to buy a new book. I'm going to the library to buy a new book. I would add now. I would add now. Were her grandchildren ballerinas? Were her grandchildren ballerinas?